Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Linda.
Welcome to Homegrown Family. We have a parent pro tip for you.
Okay, which one's this?
Crying.
Oh, crying it out.
Crying. Crying.
Okay, I know this is going to probably tick some people off, and I'm okay with that. So,
I, on the other hand, am not.
way back. So, our oldest is almost 28 years old, and way back at that point, even this question of should you let a child cry it out to go to sleep or rocking them to sleep, like that debate was going on way back then as well. And now I feel like it's even more so. But the pendulum has swung pretty hard now for it to be more accepted to not let your child cry it out. Your baby wearing and rocking babies to sleep and what is it, family bed, all of these things, in not having your child independently learn how to put themselves to sleep. And very early on when we were first married, and I read these books about how to get a child on a schedule. It freaked me out. I'm a type A personality, so I like schedule. But when my baby wasn't doing it the way where it was supposed to be done, I freaked out. And Chris threw the book away, and But over the years, when I look back over all my years of parenting, 9 children, I've used that book, and I just learned to tweak it to my own use and my own personality, and to tweak it to each of the children's personalities. But in the end, every single one of my kids have slept through the night by the time they were 8 weeks old. And they did that by learning to cry it out to an extent. It's supervised. It's a supervised crying it out. It's not like you're just leaving them there for a half hour unsupervised. You pay attention to what's happening, how long they're crying. You soothe them and comfort them as best as you can. That kind of idea. And so, and I look at this and I think that my older children, all my kids will say, thank you for doing that, because they have all learned how to sleep. We never had a problem as much as our family was on the go all the time. We never had a problem with a child going to sleep. If we were in a hotel and they had to go on the floor, they went to sleep. They just knew how to put themselves to sleep from an early age. And also for me, I found that I need sleep. I need rest. And I see those moms who are struggling with children even up to the age of 2 who are still up multiple times in the middle of the night. And I think I couldn't do that. I could not lose 2 years worth of sleep in order to for a child who wouldn't sleep. And so in the end, it worked for me. And I think that, again, is where we say in these videos, this is a safe place. We want you to do what works best for you and works best for your family. And it is okay, whatever you choose. If you let your child cry it out, supervise cry it out, there's ways to do that. Or you choose to baby wear and parent, is it family bed and rock your child to sleep, all of that, that's fine too. It does what works for you. But the problem comes in when we start criticizing each other for the method in which we are parenting. And so for all of you who are afraid to be judged as a person who lets your child cry it out, I want to say it's okay. It's okay to do that. None of my kids have been demented from this. None of my kids' relationship has been destroyed as a result of this. My kids are fine, and they're actually grateful that we taught them that skill when they were young so that they can be good sleepers throughout their whole life. And so do what's best, and stop minding, being picky with each other.
I think part of this comes down to we're worried about what people are going to say about us if we choose a particular path. And there's also a huge kind of amount of pressure that can come from certain camps saying, if you don't do it this way, then your kid's going to end up this way. And there are usually a whole bunch of negative consequences. And so out of fear, a lot of people impose upon themselves certain regiments or things that they would not normally have done. And it can be overwhelming and exhausting. I think part of it is you got to step back and realize that, you're a parent. You have the skill set, and maybe you think, I don't. I was never a good at babysitting, and you've talked about that a little bit even for you.
I did not go into parenting with a good parenting skill set at all.
But I do think that there's something innate about a couple that, I don't know, maybe this is a little bit pushing the edge, but I do think that God helps people to do that job of parenting. You want to learn from others, but
Right.
you can just watch the natural order. An animal knows what to do to take care of their babies. Nobody told the rabbit that they're going to kind of pluck the fur from themselves and get the nest ready to have a baby. And I think there's something about a mom that knows that when my baby cries, I want to check to make sure that they're fed and that they're okay, check the diaper. But I have to say, when we went through this, as young as we were, and we were very young, and with the lack of skill set, I do think that there was something in us that knew this is what I would do as a mom and as a dad. I think there was something there. But what's interesting is that it's hard to let your baby cry. And so when we had
Very
made
hard.
that decision, we're not going to just have the baby in the bed with us, which for a number of reasons was not going to work for us. But I bounce around, roll around. I'm afraid the baby's going to get stuck in a crevice. And, so ultimately, like, forget that. We'll never sleep. But I think hearing the baby crying, there's this feeling of, oh my gosh, the baby's, hurting. And we don't want our babies to hurt. We don't want them to be sad and lonely. And one of the consolations is thinking, I've just fed the baby, they're full, and I burped them, and their diaper's clean. So they're just grumpy right now, but they're tired. And learning to figure that out a little bit is so hard as an early parent. But I think for us, it became a lot easier the more kids that we had.
Well,
And
certainly,
we
'cause
realized
we know the payoff.
everything's going to be okay. It's going to be difficult. But now for us, it's a little bit difficult because we're watching our own children with their children having to wrestle with these very similar situations. And I've seen two different kids do it a couple of different ways.
Right. I've always said that you parent according to your personality type. We have to take into account their personality, because each of our children are different, and so the way we handled one child in discipline is different than the way we handle another child. But ultimately, we are parenting by our own personality, and so I know for me. My personality could not function without a child to be on a schedule, could not function with just this idea of I'm going to wing it and feed the baby whenever and sleep whenever. That I could not function that way at all. There's some people who function that way very well. And so giving each other the freedom to be who we are and parent in our own personality is a gift to all of humanity. It's a gift to all of parenthood to allow that freedom with each other.
I think the part I want to encourage you with is don't allow, whether it's pop psychology or current trends in maternity, to derail you and to make you feel like you're horrible, because you don't, what do you call it, baby wear? Because you're not
Wearing a baby,
wearing a
yeah.
baby, 24/7, or you're not having the family bed, or you're not demand feeding, or you're not, the kid's not going to become a serial killer because of those things, which Linda was worried was going to happen. But I think part of this comes down to what works for you guys as a couple, or as a single mom, or fill in the blank. I mean, part of this comes down to, here's where I'm at, this is what I can do, and this is not the last time you get to show your child how much you love that baby, because you didn't walk around with it attached to your chest on that little harness. That's not the last time you get to hold your baby close to you. Lord willing, you'll have countless years and years and years and years. I mean, I guess that's kind of part of what this comes down to, is like, oh my gosh, I don't want my child to lack or go without that feeling of affection and consolation, but we're teaching them. And I think that comes into play. You don't think about it a lot when you're a young couple. I'm going to try to teach my child how to put themselves to bed. You're wanting to avoid any type of struggle and suffering for them at all costs. But that's what part of being a parent is. You're starting to learn, here's this moment. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge and difficult. You're not hurting. You're not going without. I'm right here, but I want to teach you something. And that ache and that tension is going to continue all the way until they're out and about and doing their own thing. Yeah.
And even after, yes.
So if you're if you're homeschooling your children and you're demand feeding and you've got the family bed and you're only reading whatever, Charles Dickens and listening to Irish music,
Then you're doing it right.
yeah, you're doing it great.
But
But
If you are putting your child on a schedule, if you have them cry it out,
They're
if
in a
you
public
spank
school,
and they're in a public school
reading Harry
and you're
Potter.
reading Harry Potter, then you are doing it right. So if it works for you, like I love your point that you have the whole of their life. And honestly, I think young moms have a hard time understanding that. They want to know if I do A plus B, I'm going to get C.
Right.
And we will say that does not happen.
No.
Stop hoping for it. Do A and B the best that you can and just love whatever happens as a result. And in the whole of their life, they're going to be okay. You're not going to ruin them unless you really work hard at that. If you're loving them, you're not going to ruin them.
Yeah.
All right?
You're going to be okay. We're cheering you on. If there's anything we can do to be a perspiration, let us know.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.